Go.
So what I thought I would do is start asking questions of the period of time that led up to moving to Brazil and then life in Brazil and so forth. So, so you were hired by Citibank, and you and Mom got an apartment in Newark, and and that was just for how long? And what anything notable during that period of time?
It seems to me that we were in New York, hence in Newark living, for about a year, a quarter to a year and a half. I can't remember precisely, but it was pretty close to a year and a half.
And you commuted, took the train in?
Yeah, we lived in Newark, in a small apartment in a duplex, in a family home, I should say. And it was easy walking distance to the railroad station. And I would take the Erie-Lackawanna Railroad east to Hoboken, where I would catch a ferry boat across to Lower Manhattan, to Wall Street area. Or when I worked uptown, I would take the what's called the tracks, which is a transit that goes under the river up and over to Manhattan, and to 33rd Street, and then I would take the subway from there up to Park Avenue, where the bank had its offices. Park Avenue and 53rd Street. Or I would take the ferry boat across the river sometimes. Ferry boat was the price of the ferry boat was included in the train ride. So it was a little cheaper to take the ferry boat, but slower. And didn't get me as close to Wall Street as the subway did.
So the year and a half that you lived there, what was the bank doing? Were they training you? You were going to go to? Did you know you were going to go to Brazil at that point? Did you know your assignments? You had learned Spanish, so were they teaching you Portuguese? What was going on during that year?
Well, initially we knew we were going to be in the international division, but I was initially slated for Spanish speaking, without specifying the country, and later they changed their mind because of demand for employees in Brazil, and they proposed that I go to Brazil, and I said, "What about the language?" I said, "Don't worry, we'll teach you." And they did. I took lessons in New York, but mainly in Brazil. And the Spanish that I knew helped an awful lot because the two languages do have their similarities. And so it wasn't a difficult transition.
So how much advance notice did you have? Did they tell you 3 months, 6 months?
About going to Brazil? I think it was probably closer to 6 months. Because there was some training that needed to be done in New York.
And how did Mom react to that?
Well, she was already adjusted to being overseas, to having to go overseas. And as I remember, her reaction was fine. It ended up being better from a living point of view, because I think she enjoyed Brazil much better than she would have enjoyed living in Argentina, Peru, and in fact, I'm sure of it.
What did your family think of all this? Your mom and dad, brothers, etc.
They never said anything. I had talked to my parents before ever taking a job with Citibank that I wanted to get an international job. have in mind just living overseas, but a job that would take me overseas, travel and living. Um, and I really had in mind that it would be a Spanish-speaking country because I was fluent in Spanish. So it was I kind of assumed that we would go to a Spanish-speaking country.
Were your parents disappointed when they learned that you were taking away their first grandchild to Brazil?
Well, I took away their first grandchild before he was ever born. And we moved from Utah to the East Coast before Rob was born. So he was not even a number when we left Utah for New York.
So I was born in August, and when did you guys move to Porto Alegre?
And that calls for some memory. I think it was about 8 or 9 months after we arrived in New York.
So back then, how did you travel from New York to Porto Alegre? That's a pretty long journey.
We flew.
And how was that flight? What did you go? Did you stop in Miami? Don't remember. Okay.
I don't. We took the ship between New York and Brazil also, but that first trip, I think, I'm almost positive that it was a flight to Brazil. But every 2 years we would be eligible for a furlough in the U.S. And on one of those occasions, the return trip was on a ship. And we had that option of either flying or taking a ship.
So you moved to Porto Alegre. From photos, I can tell that you guys settled into a nice little home.
It was pretty good size, actually.
Was it?
Yeah, it had, when you looked at it from the street, it had this huge window that was as high as the house and as wide as the house. And it was all glass, parts of glass, and that contained the living area and maybe the master bedroom also. But it was a floor-to-ceiling window from one end of the house to the other. It's a huge, huge window, or a series of windows.
Did Mom have any help? Did you guys? Were you guys conversant in Portuguese at that time? How did you get along?
I was conversant in Portuguese because when we moved to New York, I was immediately started with Portuguese lessons. I was fluent in Spanish before that, so it was not too difficult a transition for me. It was a little more difficult for Marilyn because she didn't have any place to go for Portuguese language training, because we lived in Newark and Portuguese lessons were in Midtown New York. I don't remember her taking any Portuguese language lessons while in New York. I can't imagine there being any available in Newark. I don't think she did any language training there.
So how did she get along? How did you guys get along with domestic issues? I mean, how did she go do her shopping? How did you have to help her with that?
Well, actually, she progressed very rapidly, and I'm sure there was some help on the part of other wives in the bank that would help her out. But she picked up the language very quickly.
So, how did you find the church in Porto Alegre when you got there?
Well, it was a surprise in a sense because it was a small branch. We were used to wards and bishoprics and Sunday school presidencies and a full organized structure. But when we got to Porto Alegre, the church was organized there and had been there for many years. But there were branches. There were no organized wards at the time. And there was a heavy German influence, although Portuguese was spoken in our branch. If I best recall, we got along fine. I got along fine because I learned the language quickly. Marilyn struggled a bit more because she was home alone and had to deal with household help and shopping and all of the other things on her own without any help from anybody at all. But she did learn the language. It was more slowly than my learning experience, but she did learn it. She was fluent enough to communicate with household help and go to the store and talk to the members of the church when we went to church. Yeah, Portuguese developed very well.
So, in your interactions with the branch, what did you and Mom do? Were there any particular people that you enjoyed associating with then?
Yes. The answer to your those is yes. We were active. We were given jobs. I was soon made branch president and served as branch president of the Porto Alegre branch. Marilyn was also working in the auxiliaries. Her Portuguese developed, but more slowly than mine. It did develop, and she was able to communicate eventually. By the time we left Porto Alegre, which was two and a half years after arrival, her Portuguese was pretty decent.
How long were you the branch president?
Probably a year.
And how big was the branch?
Maybe 100 people, maybe 120.
Okay. Any notable friends that you kept in contact, not necessarily up till now, but for an extended period of time after that?
Yeah, we became friendly with another American couple that was also living in Porto Alegre. They were older than we were. His name was Gene Cantori, and his wife's name was Noli, and we became good friends. And
So that's where you met the Cantoris?
yes,
Because you were friends with them in
Sao Paulo.
São Paulo.
That's right. Yeah, they moved to Sao Paulo, and 2.5 years later, they moved to Sao Paulo maybe a year after in Porto Alegre, and then about a year and a half after that, we moved to Sao Paulo. So yeah, we spent quite a bit of time with them, and had a good friendship with them. She was Brazilian.
Uh-huh.
He was a Brazilian. And, he was from New York City. The name can indicate that has Italian origin, Italian parents, and they were good friends for many, many years.
So, I have no memories of Porto Alegre, but from what I've seen, did the Wagstaffs make a trip to Brazil when you lived in Porto Alegre?
Yes, they did.
Ruth and Bob.
Right.
And as I recall, you guys went to Iguazu Falls and visited some other notable sites with the Wagstaffs.
We traveled around, right?
How long were they there?
I can't remember.
Is that
Probably a month, maybe 6 weeks.
okay? If it was an extended,
Yes, yeah.
it was an extended visit.
Yeah, and it seems to me that it was not too far after your birth.
Uh-huh.
So they were there to help with that too.
So they traveled to Porto Alegre shortly after you guys arrived there.
Yeah, within 6 to, I can't remember clearly, but within 6 to 12 months after we arrived.
Uh-huh. So within the first year of being there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's
We were there for 2.5 years.
right. Okay. So
Porto Alegre is in the far south of Brazil, in the southernmost state, and the weather is more temperate. It does get snow in the higher elevations, but Porto Alegre is sea level, so it would get kind of cool in the winter, but no snow. We could see snow up in the mountains, but not down in the city. But it was cold. It can get cold, and it was a humid climate, so it was a humid cold, which is it makes it feel colder. And in the summertime, a humid heat, which makes it feel hotter.
do you recall what your favorite thing to do was then?
In Porto Alegre?
Yeah.
Well, we did a lot of, I was going to use the word explore, but that's not quite very accurate. But we used our little Volkswagen a lot. And Porto Alegre is sea level. And so most of the state, the Rio Grande do Sul, from Porto Alegre south, the Uruguayan border is pretty flat. So we became acquainted with that area, but we love the mountains. And just north of Porto Alegre were the mountain ranges, and there were lots of colorful towns up in the mountains above Porto Alegre. These towns were colonized initially by German and Italians mainly. So there was a definite German influence, but there was also an Italian influence.
So somewhat of a European feel,
Definitely.
lots of little villages.
Definitely.
Okay. So after 2.5 years in Porto Alegre, they transfer you to São Paulo. What was the nature of that transfer? Was it going from trainee to a junior manager? Was it just another step in the training program? Why did they move you to São Paulo after that period of time?
Well, that was a common thing to do. I was in a program of management development. So eventually, over time, I would become an officer, junior officer, then senior officer of the bank, and so this was all preparation for a career in international banking, and this started in Porto Alegre, and I was promoted. I got my first commission as, I guess we would call it assistant cashier in the U.S. banking system. but it was assistant accountant in Portuguese nomenclature. And as I say, we worked there for 2.5 years, and I grew up mainly in the operations area of the bank, that is the back office, how the bank runs and manages itself. And so that's the background that I had when we moved to Sao Paulo 2.5 years after arriving in Portugal.
And what was your assignment in Sao Paulo?
In Sao Paulo, initially, the first assignment I had was as senior operations officer for Sao Paulo. So I was still on the operations side, but I was soon promoted to assistant manager. And I don't remember exactly how long I was in that job, but it was less than 6 months. And I was transferred over to the client management side of banking, and trained in credit analysis and working with customers. And I had a number of assigned customers that I was responsible for, and we did that until we've been in Porto Alegre for a total of 2.5 years when we were transferred to Sao Paulo.
So that's a little bit about your career progression in Sao Paulo. Why did you choose to live in Santo Amaro? Why did you rent, or did you rent that house in Santo Amaro?
Yes.
So why did you choose to rent in Santo Amaro?
Well, Sao Paulo is a huge city, and so we didn't feel too enthused about looking in all northeast, west, and south parts of the city. And several of the American officers of the bank in Sao Paulo lived in Santo Amaro. And Santo Amaro is kind of a foreigners' enclave also, popular place for foreigners to live. And so we looked there and found a nice house, one that we never thought we could afford, and but we could. It was very reasonably priced, and so we lived there for the full 4 years that we were in Sao Paulo.
Now, was it a relatively close to the American school, Escola Graduada Americana?
That was in Sao Paulo. We were initially in Porto Alegre, which is the city south of Sao Paulo, quite a distance. We lived in Porto Alegre for 2.5 years. I was transferred to Sao Paulo.
Right, but so we chose to live in Santo Amaro, in Sao Paulo.
That's right.
And how close was Santo Amaro and Sao Paulo to the American school?
It was an easy car ride. Couldn't walk. It was up in the hills.
Because I remember taking the bus to school, to the American school.
Yeah, the bus picked you up right on the corner of our house, and brought you back to the same place. And so that was a nice arrangement. It was, I think, a pretty good school. I don't know how to judge schools. You were in the very early years of education.
Yeah, I think it was like the first grade.
Yeah.
So, when we were living in Santo Amaro, they built a church building there. Yeah.
They built a chapel, not too far from our house. I don't remember walking, we probably did. As I remember, we drove most of the time. But it was in Santo Amaro also.
Now, my recollection is, and it was common back then, to have members contribute their labor to building the building.
Right.
And was that the case here?
It was. There were a large, pretty good number pretty large number of what we call labor missionaries that were younger men in their late teens, maybe even a little older, that served as labor missionaries and worked on the construction of the chapel under the supervision of trained builders.
Now, is this where the Moons come into the picture? Clarence Moon?
Oh, the Moons, yeah. Yeah, they moved into Sao Paulo shortly after, in Santo Amaro, actually, shortly after we moved there. I was trying to think what he did in Sao Paulo. I can't remember.
I thought he was a building missionary.
Oh, he was. Yeah, thanks for correcting me. That is correct. Yeah, he was the building missionary on the construction of the chapel. He was the supervisor for the building of that chapel.
So what did you do during that construction period? Anything? Did you wield a hammer and?
Well, no, I don't remember specifically what I did, but there was. We were encouraged to volunteer to work on the chapel, and I did. And the labor for the construction was mainly construction missionaries, young men who served full-time as construction missionaries to help build the chapel under the supervision of professional builders.
So what did you do in the church then in Santo Amaro?
I don't remember all of the jobs I had. I was branch president for a while.
In Santo Amaro as well?
And also in Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo, no. Recife? Now my memory's blurred. Yeah, I was branch president in Porto Alegre.
Yeah, you mentioned Porto Alegre being branch president for about a year. But when you moved to Santo Amaro or São Paulo, when you lived in São Paulo, what did you do in the branch in Santo Amaro?
That's where my memory is kind of fuzzy. I really do not remember specifically what jobs I had. Marilyn would probably be able to remember.
Okay.
But we were active in the branch. I probably taught Sunday school, was a priesthood advisor, in the branch presidency. I don't remember being branch president in São Paulo.
So another notable event in São Paulo happened while we lived there. Elder Kimball, who was a member of the Quorum of the 12 then, came and organized the first stake in São Paulo when we were there, and I remember having lunch with Elder Kimball at the what are their names?
Wilson's?
The Wilsons'
Yeah.
apartment in downtown São Paulo.
Yeah, no, actually, in the apartment or in their house?
I thought they lived in an apartment.
No, they lived in a house. Very nice house. Not in Santo Amaro. It was another area of town. And not too far from their church building, which was different than ours. Jim and Trouble were both of them were active in the church. Jim became involved also in the construction of chapels, not as full time, but as a calling, because because they built a chapel not too far from where they lived. Now, I'm not clear on all of the details of the construction of that chapel because we didn't live in that area. But we were very friendly with the Wilsons and got together with them frequently. There was another American couple called the Moons, Clarence and Ann Moon, and he was a missionary, construction missionary, and worked on the chapels as the construction missionary, as a supervisor. So we had kind of a nice little American group there also, and there were other Americans who lived in Sao Paulo. Notable among them were the Neelamans, who became good friends of ours, and we worked for the United Press International as a reporter. And we really had a good time in Sao Paulo because of our friendships as well as our happiness in our church work and people that we got to know and deal with in the church. We moved from Porto Alegre to Sao Paulo after 2.5 years in Porto Alegre and rented a house in Santo Amaro. We were there for 4 years.
Yeah. So what do you recall being the feeling of among the church members of Elder Kimball coming down and organizing the first stake there? What was?
Oh, it was a real highlight. It was an exciting period. We were there, and we participated in all the activities. It was fun to be there with him and other general authorities and see the first stake organized. And there was already one chapel dedicated, and there were other chapels that were built and other stakes organized while we lived in Sao Paulo. So that period of 4 years that we lived in Sao Paulo was a period of real growth for the church, especially in southern Brazil.
So let me elaborate a little bit more. If you could elaborate a little bit more on this, do you recall there being other stakes formed shortly after Sao Paulo stake was formed? And
I don't recall any right after. It seems to me the next stakes to be organized were in Porto Alegre in the far south, and Belo Horizonte just to the north and west of Sao Paulo. The church really grew in Brazil. It was a fertile ground for the soil, and church growth was quite miraculous, actually. The big problem was providing management for those new branches and later wards, districts, and stakes. In Porto Alegre, I served as branch president, and in Sao Paulo, by that time there were stakes organized in Sao Paulo, and I had stake columns. I was their men's president for quite a while.
Stake Young Men's president?
Right.
What sort of activities were enjoyable for you? Well, before we get into that, so Cosette was born while we lived in São Paulo, and that pregnancy was difficult pregnancy.
Yeah, it was. In fact, as I remember, she was delivered as a C-section. Yeah, it was a difficult pregnancy for the mother. But it was worth it because she was a beautiful child, and Cosette became an active and happy member of the family. And I think there's something like 4 nephews. And I was put to branch manager, and we were transferred to Santos, where I was the branch manager. And we lived there for a year and a half. And after being there this is right on the coast. What it does is the main port for the city and state of Sao Paulo. And so it was a very busy port. And I had a good job there. I was the boss. And it was a big thing, a big promotion for me. And I was thrilled to get that position.
Why did you only stay there for a year and a half?
Because we were transferred to Recife, which is a larger operation. And I was again head of the operation in the Citibank's operation in Recife. And there was a nice branch there. So we had the church there to support us. Recife was a little more difficult to live in because it's in the far north and a much poorer area overall. Although Recife was a bustling, busy business town, an active port, and again I was branch president in the church there also, and later district president. So we kept busy while we were there. The difference in the environment between Santos and Recife was tremendous. It's a different culture, actually a different race of people, because in the Northeast there's a greater mixture of bloods, black and white. So we lived in Recife for 3 years, enjoyed that assignment, and at the end of that, those 3 years, we were transferred to New York after 12 years in Brazil.
Yeah. So what were your key clients or customers that you interacted with in Recife?
In Recife, it was almost exclusive with local Brazilian companies. There were branches of American and European companies that we had business with, but their main relationship was probably with their home offices in Rio, or the Brazilian main offices in Rio or Sao Paulo. We did have relationships with American and European companies in Recife also, as well as Santos. And we were in Santos just before going to Recife, where I was branch manager also. Santos being the largest port in Brazil, and it was a big maritime center. And so I became acquainted with the different kind of clientele, those associated with shipping and related activities.
And in Recife, it was these Brazilian customers, were they agricultural? Were they seafood exporters? What kind of companies did you?
All of the above, plus more. Recife was becoming a cosmopolitan center. It's the largest city north of Rio, and became a hub of the sugar industry. Because sugar was one of the main products of the area, and the financial management and exploitation of the sugar centered in Recife. So it was an important port, and I was the branch manager there. And it was a larger branch than Santos was, and more diversified clientele base also. Where Santos had a very heavy predominance of shipping industry, and Recife did too, but it also had agricultural as well as industrial customers.
How long were you the branch president in Recife?
We were there for 3 years. I was branch president for a good part of that time, as I recall. I don't remember specifically.
How long were you a district president?
That's right, I was district president. So that would subtract from the branch. So when we first arrived, I was not branch president, but soon afterwards was called as branch president, I remember, and then district president, where I was responsible for branches in not only Recife, but points north, as far as Natal, up towards Natal. I can't remember the names of the cities anymore. Yeah, I was district president at that
Because I remember
I'm going to pause you right there.
Because back to your district presidency responsibilities, because I remember as a child being driven to lots of different little towns around northeastern Brazil.
That's right. As I recall, there were branches in Pernambuco, where Recife was the main city, and other branches in the interior. And in north from there, there were branches in João Pessoa and Maceió, and going up the coast for the next couple of states.
I remember going to Fortaleza at least. I don't know if we went as far as or if that also included Natal.
It didn't include Fortaleza. I think it did include Natal. I remember it gets blurred.
Okay. So, what did you and Mom like to do, or what kind of outings did you like to go on? And notable visitors, I do remember Grandma and Grandpa Wagstaff visiting us when we lived in Recife.
Right.
So what outings, activities did you like to do while you were there?
Well, we loved the beach. We lived right on the beach, about half a block away. And so we spent quite a bit of time on the beach right in front of the house. But we would also take trips north of Recife to other beaches were uninhabited and where you could be all alone virtually. The water was very mild, the temperature very calm. It was a real paradise. We enjoyed, really enjoyed the beach in north, as I remember.
Mm-hmm. I remember us owning a sailboat, or having access to a sailboat.
We owned it. Yeah, it was a snipe class. We had that in Recife, and I had a lot of fun. You and I used to go out on it a lot.
Mhm.
Didn't go very far out.
No.
We would go beyond the reef, and not too far out. By the way, the word Recife in the city really refers to the reef that extended in front of the city of Recife and further up the coast. So there was this kind of a breaker that went up and down the coast by Recife that kept the waters fairly calm. And they were warm, not because of the reef, but because of the sunny weather. Because we were south of the equator, but not too far. And it was warm year round.
The blinking red light.
We have like 2 minutes, 4 minutes.
Recife was a difficult city to live in for a few reasons. It was poor. The area in general was poor. We lived like kings, but the majority of people lived in poverty. And so there was that kind of environment that we lived in. We had a very nice house right on the beach, or a half a block from the beach, and servants at the house. We really had a good life. We lived a total of 12 years in Brazil, and Recife was the last post. After that, after we finished our 3 years in Recife, we were transferred back to New York after 12 years in Brazil. And while we were in Brazil, those 12 years, we went home on average every 2.5 years, as I recall, on home leave, and we'd be gone for 2 to 3 months at a time. And so actually we saw more of our family. We were living in Brazil than when we lived in New York. And also the Wagstaffs came down to see us, I think twice. Once when we lived in Sao Paulo, and once when we lived in Recife.
In Porto Alegre, and then in Recife, and then Grandma Wagstaff came down
Sao
to São Paulo.
That's right. That's right. So that was it was a pleasant experience for us to have family spending time with us in the country, and it was especially good for Marilyn to have her family come and spend some time with us. Marilyn not only lived 12 years in Brazil, she kind of thrived there. She was a wonderful homemaker and entertainer and a mother. And I know that she missed the U.S. and her family, but I felt that she really was a good soldier.
All right. Thanks, Dad.
Are we out of
We have about a minute left. Anything you want to add?
Well, I might say that as much as we did enjoy living in Brazil, there's no place to compare with our home country.
All right. That is the end.
We're fortunate